All right, we've got some wind damage here that we're getting ready to repair in an uncut, unedited video because those seem to do the best. I have a helper here. He's going to film. My little nephew Brady. It's summertime. Today is June 11th. What is today? Tuesday, June 11th. So what we're going to do is he's going to hold the phone for me. I'm going to start flat barring stuff out, prepping this, showing you the process, going over some tools, why this went wrong, where nail placement, just some basic stuff. So I'm going to hand the phone over to him and he's going to film. That's probably one of the worst caulking jobs I've ever seen, but let's get into it. First, you know the routine. If you could, on the way in, give it a thumbs up. If you get anything beneficial out of this, please give it a thumbs up. It does help support the channel so I can do more of this for those that want to learn. All right, let's do it. All right, ready? Grab it. Don't shut it off, please. So while Brady was down there getting stuff set up, I actually already took a lot of this loose. Because this is the last row, it goes up under the hip and ridge, you really need to get this out to get your shingles in here, so we're just taking it loose. Couple tips: if you got to do just a little piece, it doesn't really matter what side you start. We've got probably, I'd say, I don't know, a 12-foot section, so it makes sense when you start to start on your high side, your up side, not necessarily related to the wind, but see this way this laps. If you're going to work this direction and you got to take this loose, you get it loose, you're now fighting this next piece because it's pinned down by the next one above it. So if you got a long stretch to go, start just past your area you've got to do the repair here, which I started here, and then popping this loose. And when you get one loose, it makes it easier to get to the nails of the next hip and ridge, the ridge cap. So I got those loose all the way down while he was setting up. I want to point out a couple things real quick. Come on closer over here. Wind damage and why this is going bad. Some basic common shingle 101 is nail placement and the pattern. When you have a keyway coming together like this, you want to make sure they're a minimum of 5 and 5/8 offset, whether it's left, whether it's right, doesn't matter. You want to be aware of the nail placement so you're not putting nails in that area. So whether you're building your pattern up to the left or up to the right, you need to think about that and anticipate. If you're going into a valley or a gable end, a rake edge, you need to pay attention of where not to shoot if you got to shift something over. Basically, this is what you do not want right here. You don't want nails this close to a keyway where shingles butt together, and you also don't want them high like this. A lot of this wind damage is because the shingle nail placement is way too high. I have some Onyx Black duration shingles that we're going to put back in. Yes, I know this is an IKO shingle. It's one of the easiest to identify, or it could be a CRC, which was exclusive to Menards back in the day. It's a straight cut sawtooth piece right here, where various other brands have different sizes and they're usually angled in or out. It's one easy way you can tell by cellophane strips usually on the back. Some of them have their manufacturer, date code, things like that. But when it comes to the nail placement, some are very clearly marked. You want to hit that area. The common bond, come in close on this here. You have all this headlap side, and these sawtooth, dragon tooth, whatever you refer to them as, is part of the shingle. This is the shim, or the laminate side. It's adhered to it by seal strips, usually depending upon the manufacturer, 2 to 3, and then 1 down the common bond. And the common bond is that little strip right there where the two pieces actually overlap. You want to do your best to hit that, because on a steep roof, on a hot day, those seal strips can actually heat up and that shim will just slide right off the roof. You want to make sure they're there. You also want to make sure it's pinned down right there, so when the next shingle lays on, the seal strip on it, this tar part, sticks to that. And it's important it's near those nails, so it's pinned down and doesn't blow in the wind. Other than that, your offset, your nail placement, do not do this. They shot way too high, way too far in. So going forward to do this repair, what we're going to do is I'm going to finish flat barring the ridge out, the hip and ridge off that little bit. We're going to yank all this. By the way, this is a duration IKO shingle. This is about an 1/8 inch higher exposure, a reveal. So if you look at the shingle, and you butt this bottom edge up right here to this. Show on this side, it's easier to see. Come on, closer to this, Brady. Where this is lined up, are you close enough to see this detail here? You got to get, it's a small area, and you should probably come in closer if you can see this. The height difference, it's an 1/8 inch off. On a big open field, you're going to have to stretch them to make it look right. If it's not ideal, best thing is to have the right material, but this is what we had on the truck. The guy I know that owns the property said it doesn't really matter, but because it goes off to a gable end, we're going to flat bar all the way off to the gable end, and they're just going to be down a little bit. And you're talking, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, so it's not going to be much, if anything, that you're going to see. Yes, I am aware of that for all you keyboard warriors out there. Alright, flat barring it out, we're going to get going on this. Trying to rush because we've got a lot to do before we get done for the day here. It's going to be down there is where I last left off while you're setting up. don't go off the edge. You're new, do not go off the edge. Stand over here. You don't want to explain to my brother and sister-in-law that you walked off the edge. Safety, people. I've seen it happen. Okay, so sometimes you're gonna have one nail, two nail, it doesn't matter. Sometimes your nail placement's gonna be here and higher, sometimes here and over. Regardless, you just wanna pop them loose. If the calf is in good shape, we're gonna reseal everything we do, so this side doesn't need to come out at all. You're just gonna continue to pop the seal strip loose, get under it, get the nail out. Simple basic tools, even putting it back, you don't need the air nailer, compressor, and all that like I've got. You can do it with old school hammer and hatchets, which I do have. This is almost a must if you're a roofing guy and you do a lot of repair work. Sometimes these shingles wrapped over the edge. In that case, you might have to take this loose or reach under and cut the headlap part off. Depending upon the size of the repair you're going to do, you can go out and buy tear-off tools, keep those hollows. Not necessary, just a flat bar and stuff this size. Once I get the majority of this out, I'm going to show you some of the prep to be aware of and to watch for, so you have a successful repair that will last. All right, come up under here. So here's what I was talking about, how the shingle, they literally wrapped it clear the heck over the other side. It's not necessary. You can always trim them, especially if you're doing ridge vent, you want it opened up. But in this case, I'm not taking the entire other opposing side off. I'm going to just reach in and cut that with a knife. But you do want to make sure you get all the nails out. Look at that. They're not even hidden because they're going in the ridge vent. They're not even hitting wood. You can either make sure it's cleaned and prepped as you go, or come back and do it, whichever, doesn't matter. By that, what I mean is a lot of guys do repair work, they won't pull the old nails or pound them, for pulling them is best. But when they're raised up on a hot summer day, those shingles will actually heat up enough over time, they'll literally break and cause a nail pop. It's not a nail pop, so the shingle was never driven down, it wasn't prepped right. So anytime you're lifting a shingle, you need to make sure everything in that work area is removed or pounded down all the way. And then right here is our stagger pattern, so we're gonna be good. when you're doing a repair, you're gonna have to draw the line somewhere. Some people are like, why didn't you fix that? Well, when you get to fix that, you're gonna have to prep that area, and then they'll be like, why didn't you fix that? At that point, you're gonna be redoing the entire roof. It's a repair, so you're gonna have to draw the line somewhere. By me caulking and sealing these that are in the keyway, it's not anything on me the rest of the roof, because if I go to fix this, I'll probably find it again over there. So you got to draw the line somewhere as a repair. Just want to point that out because I do get that a lot. It doesn't bother me, but I just wanted to like explain why. I'm not quoting the repair and then going to be replacing the roof at a repair cost because whoever installed the roof cut so many corners or did a bad install. Basically, if he's not filming it close enough, making sure that it's prepped and clean under there, no nails exposed, no nails popped up. Here, come up under here real quick. So you can't see here, but can you see up under that nail right there? See how it's raised up? That's what you don't want. That's what I was explaining earlier, how your shingle will just heat up. You want to make sure up under anything you're going to tuck under is cleaned down like that. Let's take this real quick. Just a little hand magnet. I'm trying to get all these nails picked up real quick and easy out of my work spot so I don't pop a nail or into my knee. Flat bar. The tear-off tools I was talking about, they're almost like a 6-inch blade with little teeth. They really get into this. If you're doing a widespread area, it's going to go a lot quicker to flat bar. But I want to try to keep this for the most part what the average homeowner would have or could readily availably get for a reasonably cheap price. Oh, because I'm on a gable end and I'm thinking about this, I get this comment a lot on one of the other repair videos I did that seems to do good because people are trying to learn how to do it themselves. But they had thought I was throwing nails off out in the yard. What you see me do is going like this. I'm going back to this pouch here, just again for those keyboard warriors. A lot of the times doing repair work, if the nails aren't bad, they're perfectly fine reusing. You can see how there's old used ones as well as new hand nails. So I just want to point that out because a lot of people are like, what a hack job. That's not what I was doing. It might usually be a little small piece of something on the roof, not a nail. For the most part, it gets picked up into a pile, to a tarp, a bucket. We have a small tarp set up over there. Once we get all done with the video part here, putting it back, he's going to start throwing the trash down to it and get it back to the shop to a dumpster. Alright, so it's pretty well prepped down. Any of these nails that are in the headlap, which by the way, if you shoot this in the correct spot right here, you're going to hit the headlap and the shingle under it. So shingle's on the buildup and you shoot the nail in the right area, you're going to hit this. Now, granted, you're seeing a big difference because the shingles are a slight bit difference in size. But when you shoot this, it's also supposed to pin the headlamp down below it. When you're shooting high and they're barely catching and not hitting at all like some of these, you're way too high. I'm going to plug the air hose in. Again, you can do this with a regular hammer or a hatchet. Just watch your nail placement. During new installs, we always use 6 nails minimum. Most manufacturers will still honor the 4 nail placement, but they will honor a higher wind warranty if you do at least 6. Every manufacturer might be slightly different. We try to fairly evenly space them, but you're going to have an area where you do not nail where the keyway will land. So in this case, the pattern's going up to the right. I'm not going to shoot this area here. On the edge, skip a bit, and then evenly place those here. The 3-tab pattern's a bit different. Honestly, I don't know they've ever done, well, maybe a couple decades ago, a full new 3-tab install, but it's junk. Don't do it. You might be tempted to save a little bit on material because you're looking and price shopping at the store, but if you have a contractor do it, they're going to charge more on the labor, so don't think you're going to save. You're actually going to hurt yourself in that, and there's a whole different nail placement on that. So this is the area, it's like the do not shoot zone. I forgot to look and see the battery power on that. Is it good? But probably can't see it right now. It's fine. Caulking right there behind you. So this is just to seal any of the old shingle work down. Number one repair callback that I go out to after other people, especially 3-tab, it's really bad. They're notorious at this. They will do their work, and the new shingles do have a good seal strip that will activate and seal down, yes. Hopefully that's got some good in it. But the old last shingle they do does not stick down and it just blows loose. So a lot of the 3-tab repair I go to, it's just that. You'll see repair work and it's the tab above it because they never sealed it down. Sometimes they even forget to nail it down. So this new shingle will stick down. Every shingle I run will stick down, but if you're tucking under something or any loose edges, you're gonna wanna just dab those. Not go crazy, just a small dab. But because these are way too close here, we're gonna reshoot. And we're gonna seal the nails that are gonna be in the area. And I will try to leave this stuff linked into the description down below. A lot of people ask where I get that. You can get it at any roofing supply house usually, but you're not going to find it at like your Lowe's, your Menards, Home Depots. It's a specialty product. It works really good. Off this one. This is just not good. Over time, those will wallow out, definitely start leaking. Should actually be right there. Probably want to come down over here real quick just so you can maybe see up under there a little bit. Just again, be aware when you get to that. Yeah. Down here, you're looking up at it. This is where I'm hitting some of that cut stuff up under there. Just pick it up over it. Some more over here. There we go. So again, you want to shoot the edges. You want to not shoot that area, so any water that comes in here is not going to come into it. This last one you're just going to trim down. Usually I'll just lay it up there, get an idea where I'm going to cut it. And in this case, this strip is really hard to cut. So we're going to use a hook side. Anytime I cut shingle on the top, the angle side, it's a hook. Anytime I'm using it straight, it's on the bottom side, so you can usually store it. Just line it up on your build-up close to. We're going to cut right here in that area. Don't cut your shingles underneath on a hot summer day. It's really easy to not pay attention. Just slice right through your new shingles. Right under there, be aware you're not going over the headlamp with a piece of cap like that right there, you know, so just be aware of that when you're running under something like this. I'm just going to tack a couple nails in this because when I go through and shoot the cap, it's going to have a lot of nails in it. It'll be fine. you, so you scare me on that one. Another thing to point out, if you're running an air nailer, not just your pressure, okay? So most air guns or air compressors are gonna have a regulator. I don't turn it down to the desired pressure. I keep mine slightly high. It's not gonna affect the depth of the gun. It can wear a gun out if you're using excessive pressure, but on an air nailer, most air nailers are gonna have a trigger, like the trigger you pull, but there's a safety. This won't fire it. This has gotta be down, and it pushes on a valve to allow the air through, and then you fire the trigger. But there's also a little adjustment here where you can adjust when this goes down. Come in close on this so you can see there's about an 1/8 inch from the gauge to this round piece right here. And if you crank it the other way, you'll see how it goes down a lot more. Now it's flush. So what this can do, a roofer that knows what he's doing, different times of the year, different temperatures, they're gonna adjust that. On a hot summer day, you're going to want a little more of a space in there, because that piston comes down so far it'll blow right through your shingle. That's another reason there's a lot of repair work in this area, because people don't pay attention to that. They'll just blow right through the roof. You get some windstorms and they just pull off because they've literally shattered, fractured the mat, and the nails are way too deep. On the flip side, if it's underdriven, it sticks up, you get nail pops. You can see that right down here. I'd seen a couple when I first came up, which I'm going to spot and seal them. Somewhere right in this general area, I'd seen one or two. Where is it? Point it out. I'll have to find it and point it out to you. It was somewhere right through here. But anyways, you want to make sure your nail is embedded enough, not up, not down, or crooked, because that gives you a little sharp edge to break a shingle too. Does that say we're out on time, just so I have an idea where we are on the length of the video?
22 minutes.
22? Okay, we'll a little bit, because I don't want the videos to go super long. It's hard for me to do this myself in the GoPro with editing or rendering. I'm using an old cell phone these days, so I'm hoping we just go back to the shop and upload it on the high-speed fiber optic for you guys. But looking at the analytics, the DIYer repair people, these videos seem to do the best, and I want to try to do more of that this year. And for those that wonder where I've been, yes, I am alive. I appreciate the concern. I've just had a lot going on. Building out the new shop, renovating the house there, and we had a mild winter, and it's just been really busy here. So the YouTube channel, I want to do more, but you guys, like I said, it could help the engagement of the channel. It gives me more of a reason to really do it, because people don't go to work for free. It takes a lot to run the channel. So a little support goes a long way. Bring it in here a lot closer. I want to point out real quick. So as long as the nails, at least with the duration shingle, various other manufacturers have a line. As long as your nails are in those areas, they claim they will honor the warranty, but I guarantee you getting a manufacturer warranty to pay out is way harder than insurance. That's why everybody goes to fight insurance. That's not what this video is about. I'm talking about the nail placement, how they're supposed to look. This is pinned down. That's why I like the sure nail strip. It's like a bandage cloth. It's hard to get through. It's hard to cut. It pins it down. But as far as where the nail needs to be depth-wise, if you look close up on this, let me see the phone so I can see. Let it focus there for a minute. It's not embedded too deep. It's down far enough, and if you look from any various angle, you can see it's not got a rough edge sticking up at all. That's how your nails need to look. That one, it pinned down a little bit deep, but it's not fractured through anything. You can see it's still where it needs to be. It hit a little hard on that side. That's how you want your nails. You also want them to be as low as possible on this. You don't want shiners. I released a video where damn near every single nail is way too low, like it was just careless. You don't want that either. But if you have 1 or 2 shiners, it indicates that they're trying to hit that little area, which is the common bond. Again, it's very important that you hit this lower edge to get the common bond where these 2 shingles overlap, especially on a steeper roof. You can see there's not a whole lot of a margin there. Anyway, I just want to point that out. You got that? Thank you. There's way too many people in the industry that just wham bam, thank you ma'am, ripping people off, not really saying the certain reasons why things are done the way they are. Or they just like they think they're good. There's so many people, the world's fastest roofers. Let's quit being fast and actually talk about why things are done the way they are. And then you can work on speed and efficiency. The reason this is probably backwards pattern from what I'm used to is the size of the roof is not big. Sometimes they'll just roof up the valley here, building the pattern into the valley. You're not even looking at what I'm pointing at here. Running, because it's the underlying side you got to cross over. Sometimes given size, like if this was a big section, I wouldn't do it backwards. But here, you may have a roofer wanting to start here, and instead of tucking in and filling in later, they'll run the valley up backwards, let this guy get going as he runs out. It just depends on the crew, how many people you got working, things like that. If I was doing this solo, I would run that side of the valley dormer, run this side of the valley of the dormer, mark my lines down, start down there and run across. There's no one way is right or wrong, just things to be aware of and why they're done the way they are. Because there's very rare if a section is roofed backwards just because a left-handed roofer wants to run it that way. So on the gable edges, anytime I need to try to make a straight cut, me at least, it's easier for me to use a sharp straight blade and score the backside and fold it. Then with the sure nail strip, you might have to cut that a little bit there. So as far as the gable and how I measure to fill in, you can just overhang your shingles, but when it's a small piece, more of your shingles hanging over, it's just harder. It kind of kinks it and stuff. I don't like doing that. So what I'll do is I'll put the shingle, the edge over here, and look at the shingle here. Come on a little closer in here, Brady. So you got the double thickness here. If it were to be like, let's see, just give you an example. So right here, if I was going to put this tab in here and mark this, I'm cutting through a double thick. So the top sawtooth part and the lamina underneath. Just by shifting it over this way, you can see where I got lucky. And I'm cutting through one piece right here and not both. So then a sharp straight blade, just score it as straight as you can. Fold it over and snap it. Sometimes with that sure nail, you'll have to just cut right through it. And to me, I find it easier on the gable edge than having to reach out and cut pieces that are hanging over. Now when I'm building a lead, when I'm pre-building a lead, I think I've done a video on this. Based on the shingle size and manufacturer, it's roughly 5 5/8 or so. I'll score and cut, then I'll lay my next one up here and come over the same incremental distance, and I would cut here, and then the next one I'd lay up and cut here, and then here and here. And you're gonna have typically 5 to 6 pieces or a full shingle, and then you just use, so like if you cut here, that piece sets aside, this sets aside. Your next piece, one stack is gonna go from small and grow big, the other one's gonna be big and grow or shrink to small. So one shingle stack will get you 2 courses run-ups. Just a faster way of making quick cuts, not wasting shingles. It's a different video. Check that out if you're into that side of things. Need a bag for that air fitting. The other thing to point out here. So even though you want to try to get your nails pretty close to the edges here, it doesn't, I'm not a big fan of getting it at the edge. You want to make sure it's got some meat and pinned down good. But on a gable end, typically they'll have some drip edge that hangs over a little bit. Sometimes some brands are bigger, like Clower, it usually comes out farther. You don't want to shear it on the edge because then your nail could potentially blow out the edge metal right there. So bring it in a little bit. Now on the same hand, you don't want to go too far in, because I've seen a lot of companies, crews, and various people where they shoot way over here, and then that just gives a lot of leverage. Hold this right here, Brady. About right here. I want to show something with my hand. I need both hands. Got it? Where if this is pinned down here, the area of wind and the leverage here, okay, we all have heard about leverage. So you got this shingle here, and it's shot in way too far. You have way more leverage. The wind can lift up on this, eventually popping that free from the nail. Whereas if it's pinned down here, you have a lot less. So just little things like that. All right, 2 more shingles, and we should be done. Those are all bad. What happened to the other one you brought up? Those are the big one I took out of the gun.
Isn't it right there?
No, that's the one I took out. It was larger. It's fine. This should get us between these two.
What happened to that now right there?
It was the last one I took out of the gun. Alright, so on the ridge cap, hip and ridge, I'm just going to reach up under here, and then when I get done shooting everything off, I'm going to check the nails, or the sealer, where the nails are. We're also going to double check the other side, make sure nothing broke free. Typically on a new install, we're going to do 2 nails per side, but because I'm going to reseal all this down, I'm all going to have a dab of the sealer right over the nail in the old nail hole. It's going to be fine, won't be any issue. On a hip and ridge too, I do want to point out something on that with the nail placement, because a lot of people just go way too fast and they shoot way too high and far in, and again you get a lot of leverage when the wind hits this, especially if you're doing ridge vet. So you're going to make sure you're in the lower vicinity near that nail strip. And if the shingle you're shooting, the hip and ridge, has been shattered, fractured, cut, torn, whatever, don't hesitate to put a second nail in if you need. I think you noticed a couple of them I did. Instead of setting the gun down and sealing every one, it's going to be way faster just to keep going. And then seal it. When you're running hip and ridge on a new install, whether it's new construction, watch the valley, they're trying to step in the valley, or replacing a section, you typically, depending upon where you live, want to run into your predominant winds. And all that is going to do, so typically the majority of our winds come from that direction, so if it's installed good, it should run that way and that way. There's some exceptions to it, but what that is the wind is going to blow across these most of the time if it's blowing this way, as opposed to going that way. If you ran it backwards, they would catch the wind hitting them all, so there is a direction to that. So as far as sealer, again, if we were tucking in under an old row, that's the row we would seal, spot seal it. Because they're all new here, it's going to be perfectly fine. We're going to reseal the hip and ridge and then check that edge down there, which should be good, already did. So all we're going to do is the sealer is not going to degrade the shingle. Any petroleum base can degrade the shingle, just like if you drop some gasoline on here, it'll just eat it to crap. Diesel, gasoline, anything like that. So you want to be careful. You want to make sure it's not petroleum based. This is made for roofing. It's good for EPDM, shingles, asphalt shingles, all kinds of good stuff. And all I'm doing is putting a small dab over the old nail hole and the nail. Now I'll bring it in here and show you something real quick. So I want to point out on this nail placement, I didn't try to shoot the same hole. And also on that note, that same hole there, it's not going to leak if water were to get in there. Even though I'm sealing that area, that's because the shingle under it is not the one that had the nail going through it. It's a brand new shingle, so there's no hole through this. So up under there, if water did get in that hole right there, it's going to run out on that shingle because there's no hole in it. Grab it. What's the time on that say?
37 or 38.
38 minutes?
Yeah.
We're basically done. So typically it would go a little faster if I'm not worried about narrating or having to help him set up and tell him what every little thing is. But yeah, those nails and those keyways we got, I never split these seal strips loose, so they're solid. I reshot everything that was starting my work, even though it's the shingle I didn't put down. Everything there is sealed off. The only other thing we're going to check is this side here. If they're loose or compromised, I'm moving around so much. Probably wouldn't hurt. Just put a little dab down this side. Some of their nails are way high. One of the worst things is if you're doing a repair, some people don't even do repairs. There can be some decent money in repair work, but the last thing you want is to do a repair and get called back. Now, if it's in a whole nother section of the roof, definitely, obviously, like, hey, I didn't even touch that area, but you don't want something blowing off right there that you did do. So just a tuba sealer is a cheap insurance policy. It's not what you use to fasten them down with, but it's very cheap and affordable to help make sure nothing's going to blow loose. That's why I don't get, over the years, that's probably the #1 repair we've gotten called out to do from another contractor that didn't do this one simple step or missed that last row of shingle nails on a repair, and it blows out. And they're like, well, hey, I just had them come out. You get some guys in the comment section who be like, that's job security, bro. It's job security for the reputable guy to come back and fix, but you don't want that reputation of doing the repair work and having it blow out. To me, that's pretty bad and embarrassing. So after I'm done with this a little bit here, we'll wrap up the video. all we got to do is clean up, load it up down the truck, get it back to the shop. We're going to move off to the next one. These are all still stuck down pretty good. So I think some of these just got jostled loose from me lifting them so high, cutting everything, getting the shingles put back up in there. Alright, that's basically it. Wash nails, clean up, double check the ground. We always do a quick walk around, make sure a tool didn't fall off, piece of trash, just little things like that. So again, if you liked it, if you could, this does go a long way. It's simple to do. Right down the bottom, just click the thumbs up, maybe share it with somebody if you know. Consider subscribing. I'll try to do more of this. As always, until next time, be safe. We'll see you in the next video.